I'm making spaghetti for dinner tonight, and it never fails that every single time I make spaghetti, I think about my husband Gary's grandmother, Nanny Elsie. She was Italian, and her spaghetti sauce recipe is the absolute best one that I've ever had. So I always think about her when I'm making spaghetti. And years ago, I wrote a story about Nanny in a book that I co-wrote with a girl named Heidi Saxton. And the book is called Touched by Kindness, and I wanted to share the story with you tonight while I'm cooking dinner here, mainly because we're having someone over for dinner and I have makeup on, which doesn't always happen these days around here. So this story is called A Church That Cares About the Poor. My paternal great-grandmother played in a Salvation Army band, and my father served for many years on the board of directors of the Salvation Army in our hometown. Most people know that the Salvation Army is a Christian charity because of the bell ringers who stand outside grocery stores and department stores collecting money in their signature red kettles every holiday season. Most of us are not aware, however, of the magnitude of this organization's work. Elsie was the daughter of an Italian immigrant and a Kentucky farm girl. Her family was poor and didn't attend church. She sometimes went on her own, but she was embarrassed about her appearance. Even though her clothes were always clean, her hand-me-down dresses were faded, and her discomfort kept her from attending church as often as she would have liked. Late in her teens, Elsie heard of a church that loved poor people, and the next Sunday, she was sitting in a pew at the Salvation Army Church. No one stared at her because her dress was old. No one found it strange that she was alone. Finally, she'd found a place where she felt loved and accepted. Within weeks, Elsie had accepted Jesus Christ as her Savior. A few months later, Elsie's boyfriend Glenn had begun to attend church with her, and he too accepted the Lord. 4 years later, Elsie and Glenn were married, the first Christians in both of their extended families. Because of Elsie and Glenn's commitment to Christ and their example, their parents and many of their 22 siblings became Christians. The ministry of the Salvation Army in the life of one young girl has affected hundreds of lives. Elsie and Glenn's children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren have been raised in Christian homes with godly parents. I know Elsie as Nanny Elsie. She's my husband's grandmother and my boy's great-grandmother. She and Papa Glenn are the spiritual backbone of this great family that I now call my own. Nanny Elsie passed away, about 6 years ago. Papa Glenn is still alive and still a prayer warrior to this day. I'll always have a tender place in my heart for the Salvation Army and for their mission of reaching out to those in need, and especially for welcoming a poor Italian girl into their church and telling her of a Savior who would always love her, faded dress and all.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore.